If I asked you to picture the most heavily regulated industry in the United States, what would you think of? The medical industry? Oil or gas? Well, this that is the most heavily regulated thing in the United States. According to RegData's Industry Regulation Index, the air transportation industry is home to a whopping 13,307 federal regulations. These many regulations began in 1925 with the passing of the Kelly Act. This act allowed the United States Postal Service to hire private airlines in order to transport their mail. Now, why so many regulations? 13,307 is a lot, even for the US government. 13,307. Those 13,307 regulations can be summed up with just one word. That word is safety. Safety, safety, safety. Nothing is more important in the aviation industry than safety. When you go to an airport to board your flight, you go through numerous safety checkpoints. Before getting to your gate, you must go through the TSA's extensive security screening process. If you were born around or after 2001, this may be all you know when it comes to air travel. But prior to 9/11, things were very different when it came to air travel in the United States. Before the attacks that occurred using passenger airliners on September 11, 2001, there was very minimal security that one had to go through before boarding an airplane. Passengers had to go through a metal detector, but they didn't have to show ID or even have a boarding pass to be let through to the airport terminals where passengers were boarding their planes. There weren't many federal regulations in place to keep passengers safe. The Federal Aviation Administration even allowed passengers to carry knives up to 4 inches long on their flights. After the 9/11 attacks, things changed dramatically. While many Americans were still too afraid to fly in the wake of the attacks, a plethora of security measures were beginning to be implemented in airports across the country. 1 month and 8 days after the 9/11 attacks, Congress passed the Aviation and Transportation Security Act. The act created the Transportation Security Administration, or the TSA. The TSA was created to provide security at airports around the country. The implementation of the TSA's regulations began directly after the bill was passed. The Aviation and Transportation Security Act required the TSA to screen airline passengers' checked baggage and mandated that airlines reinforce cockpit doors on their aircraft in order to prevent hijackers from entering. Over the next several years, the regulations regarding airline travel and what you can or can't bring on an airplane became stricter and stricter. As of 2022, there are 474 items that are prohibited or have special carrying instructions on airplanes. The TSA uses X-ray machines to screen carry-on luggage. Here is some footage I took while my bag was being screened at Boston Logan International Airport last year. You can actually see the moment my belongings are scanned by the X-ray machine. Along with the screening of bags, the TSA also uses what it calls millimeter wave advanced imaging technology to screen passengers for any concealed items. You might be wondering, how does the federal government have the power to so drastically change the air travel industry with all these security regulations? Well, most of these regulations, and especially the Aviation and Transportation Security Act, fall under the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. The Commerce Clause refers to Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the Constitution, which allows Congress to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states. It is definitely clear that airline travel and airline safety can affect interstate commerce, so the government's actions here seem constitutionally justified. Most people can agree on that. But what about the Fourth Amendment? Our right of being protected from unreasonable searches and seizures. Well, the situation here isn't as clear. Officially, the TSA doesn't seize anything. Prohibited items found in bags can be mailed back to their owners or can be given to the local police department. However, the TSA doesn't have a warrant or probable cause to search each passenger who comes to an airport, which technically would mean that almost every search they perform is considered unconstitutional. How is this possible? Well, it seems as though the citizens of the United States have given up their right to protection from searches, all in the name of national security and in order to have a safer travel experience. So, the support for the TSA and its extensive regulations seems strong in America, but there are still some who believe the United States is better off without these safety measures. Besides the folks who just get annoyed with long security lines while on vacation and would gladly give up their safety in the name of convenience, there are also many who think the TSA is a huge waste of money. The TSA will receive $8.6 billion in federal funding this year. That's 8.6 billion taxpayer dollars going to the TSA to keep airline passengers safe. In a June 2015 investigation, the TSA's Inspector General reported that 95% of the time, TSA officers failed to detect weapons, explosives, and other prohibited items that undercover agents smuggled through various security checkpoints. That number is shocking. 95%. TSA fails to detect dangerous items 95% of the time? Why are we spending $8.6 billion a year on a system that is only successful 5% of the time? It just doesn't make any sense. So what do you think? Is the TSA one of America's most successful and effective programs? There hasn't been a deadly airline hijacking or safety incident related to terrorism since its rapid inception directly in the wake of 9/11. Or do you think it's unnecessary? Or maybe you believe that it could be done using some other system? Whatever you believe, you should value the TSA and the fact that it allows safe and convenient air travel, because without that, it would be hard to have a successful country.